Okay, and we are live. Ladies
Cool.
and gentlemen. Well, I should speak into the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, Jayden Harris is here at Winning Within. Welcome, Jayden, and thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, it's great to be on with you. Thanks for reaching out. Yeah, excited to get started. It's very hot in England at the moment, so enjoying the sun, sweating, but you got to work when you got to work. So
Indeed, yeah. There's also been a bit of a heat wave here. So it's like it's hot where you are and it's hot where I am. And I think that's because there's something that's about to cook.
well, yeah.
And with that, I saw something that you actually just put on your Instagram story
Okay.
that I wanted to get into. The art of iron words.
Mm.
Would you mind expanding on that, sharing why, first of all, what that is and why it's important?
So the art of iron words basically comes from the the concept that you mean what you say and you say what you mean. So everything that you do or everything that you intend to do, you actually have to follow through on it. So most people go through life and they say one thing, they say, "Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that," but they never actually end up doing it. And I was thinking about what's wrong with that? Why do people just not do what they say they're going to do? And I kind of discovered that it creates an internal discoherence within yourself. So if you're saying to the world, basically, if you're speaking that you're going to do something and you don't do it, it in some ways takes away from your self image. So you eventually build yourself into the type of person that says one thing but doesn't do another. And this can lead to feelings of like guilt, shame, anxiety. And I found that in my own life, when I was growing up, I would say one thing, I'd really want to do something, but I would never do it. And I was getting angrier and angrier and more frustrated and more frustrated. But I didn't know what was going on. So eventually, after doing some research, I was like, I'm saying one thing here, but I'm not actually doing it. I'm giving out good advice that I think to other people in real life, but I'm not actually taking the advice myself. And no one kind of listens to someone who doesn't do it themselves. I've always liked helping people, building people up, giving good advice, just being genuine and honest with people. Um, but your word has to be iron. So what you say goes. If you say something, you've got to do it. And the benefit of this is that when you say something and you do it, you build up your self-esteem, which is the most important thing. Self-esteem is a collection of things that you know you have done. So if you write down 10 items that you got to do for the day and you don't do them and you finish the day and there's maybe two things ticked and the eight things are not ticked, then that's on you. That's something you've got to do because no one's going to do anything for you in this world. So that's where it kind of comes from. Um, your word has to be iron. You have to hold yourself accountable
Mm.
because that is another thing with a lot of people today. They're not accountable to no one. You grow up in society, you've got like checkpoints. So you've got school, education system, you get funneled into a plan that has checkpoints. You got people, you got teachers, you got people looking out for you. But in the real world, no one's looking out for you because everyone's looking out for themselves. Everyone wants to improve their own lives. Um, but you don't have that accountability. No one's going to do anything for you. No one's going to make you rich. No one's going to drag you out of bed. And a lot of men in particular are lost. They're maybe depressed. They're struggling. And making your words iron is a good way to actually start making progress towards what you want to achieve.
Amazing. Something that you just said there was interesting. I wanted to expand on that. You said that in school you're held accountable, but no one's going to hold you accountable for the things that you want in your life. I think that's interesting because it's kind of like it's as if we are born and conditioned into a system where we are taught that what we need to do, that the important things that we need to do, the important things we are held accountable for. So as a child, the most important thing really, well, one of them at least, is school. And in school, we're held accountable. But when we grow up and we're like, I want to start a business, no one's going to hold you accountable. So it maybe we have like the unconscious assumption that whatever's important, I will be held accountable for. And then if we're not holding ourselves accountable, then we're telling ourselves, this is not important to me.
Yeah, I mean, in school, the thing about the education system and all of that sort of stuff is that you're held accountable by fear. So you don't want to look bad in front of other people. If you're in a class, you don't want bad grades. You want to get the best grades. You don't want bad grades. And then when you get your results back, you're told what to do. Oh, you need to study. But the thing about school is it teaches you and it does condition you to consciously do things. So if you want good grades, you study. But what they don't tell you is that, take the example of a C grade student. If a C grade student is getting C grade results consistently, then there is a reason. When you, let's say, this C grade student then gets said, "Oh, you're doing terrible. You need to study and you need to work and lock yourself in your room and you work." That C grade student will then get maybe an A grade. Oh wow, look, studying's working. Then in the next exam, he may get a C grade. That is because he has reverted back to default, which is his self-image. He views himself as a C grade student based on the results he's getting. You would think that once you study and you get an A result, you're going to get A for the rest of your exams. And okay, that may be true for some people, but what school does is it teaches you to operate from a fear mindset. You don't want to get told off. You don't want to get punished. You don't want to get negative consequences of not getting a result. So you're forced, when you're not forced, but you're told to study hard. Okay, you're not allowed to enjoy life. You've got to sit in that room and study for these exams. So you are in a way conditioned to out of a fear-based mindset. And I always found that never really worked for me. You have to enjoy what you do, and as you get older, because of the conditioning that's happened in school, you're always looking for advice from someone else. You're always looking to other people, and then you're told get good grades. So you do the work from a fear-based mindset. You get good grades. You go into university. You get a degree that is not really. There isn't any meaning to that degree unless you really want to do it. If that's what you decided to do. But a lot of people have not decided to go to university. They've just, and this is what happened to me. You get funneled into the system because it looks better for the school. It looks better for, yeah, it looks better for the school. And if you get more students going to university, they get more money. So I ended up going to uni 3 separate times, and I say I'm a proud dropout. Each time I dropped out, I knew it wasn't for me. I was picking the best degree that I thought would earn me the most money, which is what I really wanted. And I think a lot of guys just really want money. They want to enjoy what they do and they want money, but what if you could get paid for doing what you love? And that's where everything kind of blew out for me. But yeah, you're taught to operate from a punishment, fear-based mindset, and a lot of the teachers as well are teaching based on what they've been given by the curriculum, which is set by the government, or they're teaching what they've been taught, and they're teaching what they've been taught. So I was always the kid to ask why, and no one really likes being questioned, especially a teacher, when they're in that position of power, you try and, you ask, it's the Socratic method, you ask why long enough, and they don't like it. And I asked why for a long time, and I got to the truth, which is how I got to where I am today.
And what was that truth?
Well, truth is that if you ask why long enough, you'll begin to question everything about society. Um, the most dangerous question is why. If you always question what you're being told, thinking critically, you're going to get to some sort of truth, and the truth always emerges. What is the truth? Well, the truth is, the way I see it, the 9 to 5 model, I think it's now dead. And the truth is that it is a form of, to put it bluntly, slavery, in my opinion, because people are not doing what they really want to do. They're not consciously choosing to go into a job role. They're doing it just for the money, which, in my opinion, makes them to a slave to the money. But if you ask why long enough, you can you eventually get to the truth just by nature of asking why. But life is what you make it. So you have an amazing opportunity with life to do what you really want to do. But if you've been conditioned and told all your life that you're not good enough, you need to follow the system, follow everyone else, keep your head down, don't question the box, don't question the rules that set the box, don't go outside of it, just keep your head down, be a good boy, and that's life. And when you ask why all the time, you eventually realize that there is no box.
Okay. Something that I like to do on the show is to be the devil's advocate.
Okay.
So if you like, what I'd love to do now is just to do a little mini session, mini devil's advocate moment. I like what you're saying on doing what you enjoy rather than doing things for the money. So what I'd like to do is be the devil's advocate for a moment, and so that we can explore it, because people who are listening now, some of them may resonate, and at the same time, I'm sure that there's probably some things going on in their mind that's thinking, yeah, actually, I do like the sound of that. A part of me wants to enjoy it, but X, Y, Z. So what I'd like to do is explore those potential X, Y, Zs with you, and then you can just respond as natural.
Cool.
Yep. Okay. What can I do? Usually I wear a hat, but I don't have the hat with me, so I'll just do this. All right. Devil's advocate is a bit more, has this button up. All right. So that sounds good, Jayden, but money's important. So I do want to do what I enjoy, but I can't just, I need to think logically. And I can't just do what I love because I have a job right now that pays me money, and if I leave it, I have no guarantee that I'll be able to do what I love. The devil's advocate has sent Jayden away. We are going to see if he comes back momentarily, and if he doesn't, we will find a solution. In the meantime, until he comes back, let's continue. So yeah, the devil's advocate was saying that you can't just. Oh, okay, he's back. There we go.
Sorry for that. My phone overheated because of the car. So I'll come outside. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. All good. All good. All right. I'll get back to the devil's advocate then.
Cool.
Is the connection okay for you?
Yeah, the connection's fine. It's just the phone was overheating.
Okay. Okay. All right. For me, the video is not perfect. But yeah, most important thing will be the audio.
I'll walk closer to civilization. Sorry about that.
Okay. No problem. Okay. So still the devil's advocate here. I'm not sure what you got from it, so I'll just maybe repeat.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, yeah. So my objection as the devil's advocate was, that's nice for you to say, Jayden, to do what you enjoy and not to do things for the money. But I have a job right now, and it's safe. Like I know I have the job, and if I know there's something I'd like to do that I know that I feel I would enjoy, but there's no guarantee that if I go and try and do it that I'll be able to.
Well,
Whereas I know that I have this job right now. So what are you suggesting?
well, this is the thing. Most people don't even truly know what they want. Um, if you really want to do your job and you're happy and that fulfills you, then that's what you really want to do. The truth is, everyone is exactly where they want to be. If you wanted something more, you'd go out and do it. It's safe, and that's how most people view life. They want safety, they want security, they want guarantees. But there's no guarantee if you're going to even wake up tomorrow. I think, especially the West has kind of lost its ability to, well, it's lost kind of God. And this is why I say that you need to be God centered, because if you trust that in God,
Sorry, Jayden, I hate to interrupt you. I hate to interrupt you, but
yeah.
the audio is now just starting to cut out a little bit.
Uh, I'll go back in the pick up. Are you able to edit those interruptions out?
I could, yeah. Don't necessarily need to.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't. Like I'm not looking for perfection. So
Okay, cool.
I think this is quite human.
Yeah,
So
cool.
so yeah. To those listening, I hope this is maybe a testament to the fact that it's okay for things not to be perfect. Because that is something that I would like to be part of the message of this show, is that there's actually a perfection, in my opinion, in imperfection.
Mm.
And yeah, to strive for perfection and try to be perfect and to make things perfect, I think is like it's a recipe for unhappiness. It's a recipe for stress, and I think a much better recipe is to allow allow imperfection. Do the best you can, but when imperfection arises within yourself that you perceive or within something you do, I think that's okay. And anyway, moving on, going back to what Jayden was saying, you were saying that the West has lost God.
Yeah. So the West has kind of pursued, and this goes back to what I was saying about the 9 to 5. The West has pursued a path of materialism, placing value in things that are good, make life enjoyable, but it's not what life is completely about. It's what I would call the rat race. Everyone's competing for the same things. If you go to London in the UK, everyone goes the same way at 8 a.m. in the morning to their job. And then at 5 p.m., everyone goes at the same way back to wherever they go, their home. There's that. I got an image in my mind of like an accommodation block where all the lights are on and everyone's playing video games or everyone's chilling, and then all the lights go off when it's time to go to bed because they got to go up in the morning and do it all again. Um, what I mean by the West has lost God is everyone is in this system and everyone is competing against each other ruthlessly. When it doesn't actually need to be as ruthless as people make it. People will backstab each other to get a £3,000 bonus. People will manipulate each other. People will lie and backstab just to get higher on the corporate ladder, not realizing that their lives aren't actually improving. They're not actually making massive strides. And it comes from a place of they just want things to be secure, they just want things to be safe. And yeah, if you try and make everything perfect, you're never going to have a perfect life. You have to accept that where if you want to break free from the system or the 9 to 5, you have to accept that it's on you, um, and placing your trust and hope and faith in God is the key. Because a lot of the people in the system as well are stressed. They don't want to look bad in front of other people. They don't want to lose out on um, a bonus or being promoted. And everyone's stressed. Society is sick, in my opinion, physically. Um, and people kind of
Sorry,
lost.
Jayden. Sorry, just Jayden.
Yep.
Yeah, you said something. I want to go back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
You said if you try to make your life perfect, then you'll never have a perfect life. And it made me think, I do like, please hold on to the thought that you had, so we can go right back to it. But what you said about imperfection and perfect, I wanted to highlight it, because what if we've been trying to make our life perfect, and in doing so, in trying to make our life perfect, we've been actually creating the imperfection in our perception. And if we were to if we were to let go of the idea that our life needs to be perfect and that we need to be perfect, then perhaps what we would be left with is perfection. Because if you're not trying to change something and you accept it for the way it is now, and it doesn't need to be any different, for something to need to be different would be imperfection. If something doesn't need to be any different, then suddenly that's perfect. So, what if we actually have the power to create perfection in our life and to recognize the perfection that is our life now? Not by making more money, not by losing weight, not by having more friends, not by changing anything, but simply by accepting that life fundamentally is imperfect and always will be. And so will I and you and everyone listening here. And my life and your life and everyone's life listening here will always be imperfect. I feel like you have been I get the feeling, Jayden, that I get the feeling that you've been observing society and yeah, just observing it as if you've been studying it, as if as if you're questioning society. It feels like to me.
I think one needs to always question what they're being told. It goes back to what I was saying about the Socratic method, always asking why. If you don't have people questioning the direction society is going, why people are doing certain things, then you get led into into positions where you're just being told what to do and there's tyranny going on. And I guess the human experience is trying to strive to be perfect, but once you recognize that you are kind of perfect already, it is that imperfection that makes you human. In recognizing that imperfection, you can then strive to move through life from a place of peace rather than being in a state where you're desperately needing something. So if you really need something, sometimes you can actually repel it away from you. And yeah, I kind of observe society. I don't get too attached to anything that's going on because I used to heavily be interested in politics and the news and following all of that. And I came to the conclusion that once you stop watching the news, once you stop watching politics, my life was the same, regardless if I was interested, if I was watching the news, or if I was concerned about politics. And most people look to outside forces to try and make the conditions for their life good. But outside forces, if you're always looking to outside forces, you are a victim of circumstance because you're looking to other people. So yeah, you have to observe society. Obviously, you're part of the world, but the only thing that you can really control is your world. And recognizing that, yeah, life isn't perfect. There's always going to be things that you lose and things that you gain. But at the end of the day, that is what makes life life. What I would ask anyone listening to this, why why do you think you have to be perfect? What insecurity is that deep rooted in? And this is why this is the problem. Most people have things that have happened to them and they operate from those places. Um, let's say when you're born, you have a bad experience. You will then, anything that relates to that bad experience you've had in the past will set you off, if you get what I mean. Um, so it, it's all about taking control of what you can do. And yeah, I kind of observe things. I don't think it's helpful to get emotionally attached to anything um, in life, really, to be honest. um, politics, news, what's happening in the world in general. It happens, but you have to hold yourself accountable in your own life. What are you doing in your life to improve it? No politician is going to make the conditions of a country correct and absolutely perfect. And that's, again, that's people looking for perfection in society on a wider scale. But yeah, the human experience, in my opinion, is to strive for perfection, to be the very best that you can. But at the same time, you have to recognize that you are starting from an imperfect place.
Hmm. And what if you're starting from an imperfect place? What if you actually never get any more perfect? Like a common desire that a lot of people have uh, is money, and so then yeah, what if becoming a billionaire, for example, would not make you any more perfect? Not even like not even a tiny, tiny, tiny amount more perfect. And you said the human experience is something like you said the human experience is striving for perfection. What do you think would happen, Jayden, if we no longer were trying to be perfect? Like if we all recognized that there's nothing that we need to change about ourselves or our life, that we may want to change some things for sure, that we may think like, oh, these things would be nice to have, but if we recognized perfection and we recognized our life was perfect, what do you think would happen? Do you think we would stop like doing anything?
The human race would be over because humans are here to create. Everything that you see around you is a creation from someone. Nothing is in this existence without someone having thought it and then went about and creating it. So humans have always created and innovated, strive to make things perfect, and I think you can't achieve. It's one of those things. It's a catch-22. You can't achieve perfection, but humans will always try to evolve. Humans will always try to create. Now, it depends where you're creating from. If you are creating um, pain, misery, and fear in the world, then obviously there's going to be an opposite desire from people to alleviate that pain, which is primarily business. So you solve problems for people, you help people, you want to help people, and as a byproduct, you get money. But humans have always created. Um, there's never been a point where we have not created something. Um, and I think we would no longer exist if we didn't create anything.
Hmm. Yeah. So creation and creating is a fundamental part of being human. Hmm. Yeah, and when like going back to what you were saying about the 9 to 5 thing, I'm also of the opinion that, well, I would say that a 9 to 5 is not inherently bad, because some people have a job that they love. That being said, so I think that's great. If you have a job that you love, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you're doing a job that you don't love, then you're essentially helping someone else create something. And it's fun. It's like you could think of a business as like just playing, as like a child would play. Someone who enjoys business and has a business is just playing. Is just and they're creating a product, I guess, and that product is like the toy that they play, and it interacts with society. And when you're working a 9 to 5 that you don't enjoy, then you're putting yourself through an experience that you don't enjoy and helping someone else play a game that maybe they do enjoy. I mean, that's actually irrelevant, but yeah, you're just helping someone else play a game and you're not enjoying that. You're not enjoying that game yourself. So why play it?
Exactly. Exactly. Why
But it's,
play,
yeah,
why experience and help someone else's game when you could play your own? And most people aren't aware that they can play their own game.
yeah. Except when you play your own game, it's like it can be more scary, right?
Mm.
Because when you're playing someone else's game, they're telling you how to play, they're taking all the risks. There's way less risk for you, there's way less uncertainty. Like I go to work and then I need to do these tasks, and if I do them to this standard, then I'll continue working here probably. Whereas when you're playing your own game, there's a lot more, I would say, a lot more fear.
But fear is a natural part of the human experience as well. You're never going to alleviate fear. As long as humans exist, there will be fear, and as long as fear exists, there will be problems to solve. Um, Fear, you can never get away from fear. Um, the primary way that I found to combat it is just to look it straight in the eyes. What are you fearful of? There's a quote: "The only thing to fear is fear itself."
Hmm. I like that. Like look fear in the eyes. Hmm. Yeah, because so often when fear shows up, we run away.
Fear is an illusion of the
So,
mind. Fear is something that the human mind usually creates in order to. I view it as like a test. Do you really want the things that you really want? And if someone, let's say you're going through life in a job that you hate, and you get an idea to start a business, and you don't, and the first thing that comes to your mind is fear. It's usually self doubt. Oh, it's not possible for me. Beliefs going against yourself. But usually, the first thing that comes is fear, and then they revert back to default because it's safe. But fear is, in my view, a test. What are you afraid of?
love that.
That's what I ask everyone. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of it working? Then you're afraid of yourself, and you're afraid of your own power. And when you're afraid of yourself and your own power, you look to other people to give a sense of meaning to life. And if I can just touch on that, most people have given their power away to things. People don't even realize how powerful they are because of that fear element. Yeah.
Hmm. Fear is a test. I love that. Fear is a test. Do you really want what you say you want? Hmm.
It's the first challenge to overcome. If if you want to play the game, you have to overcome fear. And people think that once they get rich, it'll be fine. Once they make money, once they earn the money, life will be smooth sailing. But that's not actually the case, and a lot of people I don't think, realize that you can earn money, but then you got to keep it, and then it only increases in fear. It's different types of fears that you face. But fear is just illusory. It's something that you have created in your own mind. It's a test. It's something that's stopping you, or you think that's stopping you from doing something, when really life favors those who actually do it anyway. Because everyone feels fear. Ronaldo feels fear when he goes and plays in the World Cup. The Sunday League or the lower league footballers feel fear when they go out onto the pitch. It's how you use it to motivate you forward that allows you to then create.
And why do you suppose life would? What did you say? Fear or life rewards those who overcome their fear, or something?
Yeah, life rewards those who overcome fear. If you look at anyone who has achieved anything, yeah, if you look at anyone who has achieved anything great, they've overcome a series of obstacles, a series of fears, and then they are rewarded with, let's say, the money or the lifestyle. Most people view things wrongly. Most people view things from,
And why do you suppose life would reward those who overcome their fears?
because it is evolution of who you are as a person. If you are staying where you are and don't want to push through those barriers, how are you ever going to evolve as a person? How are you ever going to discover new things? I'm in the UK right now, if I was fearful of going to a new country, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't even step foot through the doors of opportunities that wait for me in that new place because of that fear. It's limiting yourself. Humans are not meant to limit themselves. Humans are meant to evolve, grow, and create. And once, when you're in that state where you're not creating or you're stagnant, you begin to get bored. And when people get bored, they either go on a downward spiral, engage in bad habits to fulfill that boredom, dopamine related things, or they can choose to go on the upward spiral, which there may be more fear involved in the upward spiral. There's new challenges, new things to overcome. But that is the beauty of life, and I guess maybe that is why life rewards those who tackle fears, because it is a beautiful evolution of who you are as a person. I wouldn't
Hmm.
if I was God, I wouldn't want to create a human just to stay still or do nothing. You'd always want to be doing something.
Just like if you were God and you created humans, you wouldn't want the human race to stay the same. You would want the human race to evolve. So maybe in the macrocosm, there is also a similar truth in the microcosm, and that in every human, God, and whoever's listening, when Jayden and I are saying God, personally, I mean, I'm not using it as a religious. God is like the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, to me anyway. I don't know how you're using it, Jayden, but I feel like we're kind of talking about the same thing. Just to clarify for listeners, in case they have any kind of blockages against certain definitions and words. But if, yeah, maybe if you were God, you would want the human race to evolve, and you would also want human beings specifically to evolve. And as Jayden's saying, overcoming fear, doing what you want to do in spite of fear telling you not to, is a big part of evolving as a person, because fear is what keeps you locked into the familiar self. Like, if you're not willing to feel fear, can you ever expand beyond your current self-image? I don't think so.
Well, if you're not willing to do anything, it goes back to what I was saying at the very start. You have to want it. You have to want to. What you are where you really want to be. So you have to want something more, which is on the other side of fear, to actually get to that place. And the trap is, the cage is the fear of what if it all goes wrong. But people instantly go to the negative. What if it all goes wrong? But what if it all goes right? What if it does work? It's that reframing from negative to a positive. I don't really know why so many people opt for the negative. I think it gives a sense of security, a sense of safety. But people wait until a ground zero moment to actually make a change in their lives. What if you could, when life is going good or life is, it's all right? What if it could be better? What if you could accelerate and compound that fulfillment that you have? Um, and yeah, people opt for the negative, and I don't understand why people opt for the negative. Example, AI. There's a lot of negativity surrounding AI, a lot of confusion. But what if AI is good? What if AI helps alleviate problems for people? Then surely that is a good thing. But it's the age old problem that society has. You have people who want things to stay the same, and you have people who want things to change. Now, whether it changes to the good or the worse, is up to the people doing the changing. But you can only be in a position where you're able to change the world or impact things if you break out of the cage of fear. If you break out of the box, you can't really change anything if you're not willing to put yourself out there. You can't change if you want things to be different. If you want your country,
Why
or
not?
what? Why
Why
not?
can't you change anything if you're not willing to put yourself out there?
Because you're not putting things into the world. So if you are, so person called John Doe, example person, John Doe. John Doe sees many problems with the world, starving children, hungry like people. There's many problems. But John Doe is sitting in his bedroom moaning about it and complaining about it. John Doe does not have a right to complain if he's not willing to do anything about it. You have to be willing to put yourself out there in order to change things. Complaining, moaning, negativity doesn't actually change anything. In fact, it makes things worse. If you really want to make a change, you go out and do it. You don't rely on other people to change it for you. That's what gets me. Stop relying on other people to change things so life is perfect. Rely on yourself to change things. Yeah.
Hmm. And if you're not willing to put yourself out there, yeah, you're not putting things into the world. You were saying. So how can you change the world or whatever you want to change if you're not putting things into it? If you don't put anything into it, whatever is the thing that you want to change, it's probably going to stay the same, or it's going to change in a direction that is not influenced by you. If you want to influence X, then you need to put yourself into X. Like if you want to develop your social skills, but then you're like, I'm not willing to put myself out there because I'm afraid of this and that. How are you ever going to develop your social skills? You have to put yourself out there. And then there are fears related to that. And if you're like, if you clicked your fingers and you were like, from now on, I'm willing to experience any kind of fear that comes up, what would change in your life? Hmm. If you're not willing to put things into it, how can you change it?
I suppose that is rooted in, to use a phrase, masculine energy. Men always want to, the masculine drive is to do things, to accomplish, to achieve, to strive forward. If you're not willing to strive forward to improve things as a man, then what right do you have to moan about it? What right do you have to complain about it? You have to be willing to put yourself out there, and I think men as a whole, to put it that way, have been weakened. Have been, I call it a sedation society. There's so many distractions that you could get distracted with. You can get everything on demand. You don't even have to social skills. You don't even have to speak to anyone. If you want to go out and get food, you could wake up, drive your car to McDonald's, not even speak to anyone at McDonald's. It's all done through the machines and everything. Get your McDonald's, you could grunt at whoever's serving you. You don't have to speak to anyone. You could drive home, sit in your room all day, watch Netflix, order a Deliveroo. You get things right to your door. You don't actually have to go outside for much. So, in my opinion, it's a bit of common sense. If you want social skills, if you want to know how to interact with people, you have to go outside. But a lot of people nowadays, a lot of men in particular, young men, have are inside all the time, distracted by video games, whatever forms of entertainment that they do or watch, they are distracted. There's no reason to go outside. But the world is fun. The world is there to be experienced. People, the biggest reframe for me was people actually are interested in you. They're interested in what you're doing, you as a person. If you're in your room all day, no one's going to give you, you're not going to get the interest. Um, but social skills is a big thing that people have just lacked because you can be inside, you can be distracted by anything. You are fulfilled by watching Netflix all day, don't have to speak to anyone. So everyone's inside, and then they'll go on Twitter or whatever, start moaning about the state of the world. I see this a lot on Instagram. A lot of people moaning about, oh, the world's ending, this is doom and gloom. But for me, it isn't. The world isn't ending for me. The world isn't doom and gloom for me. For me, there is plenty of opportunity out there. In fact, I think it's the best time to ever be alive. And that is the prime difference between abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. Um,
Why would you say this is the best time to live, to be alive?
it's the best time to be alive, and it's the easiest time to be alive because no one else is doing or no one else wants to do stuff. So the vast majority of people are happy. They say they want things, but they don't. They're happy being in their room playing video games, getting some junk food. That's enough for them. Um, that is enough. They're happy going to their job, earning the salary. Um, and if that's what they choose to do, they choose to do it. But it's the best time to be alive because now you can earn money from your laptop. You don't have to go in a coal mine. You don't have to grind away. You don't have to do blood, sweat, and tears work. It's very easy. There's a lot of opportunity simply because people don't try. The first the first thing, if you actually try and improve your life, you'll discover that while everyone says they're doing things to improve their life, they are not actually doing it. So if you that is the first realization, if you start to strive forward, is that there's not a lot of competition. There's not a lot of people doing it. So that in itself makes it the greatest time to be alive, because you don't have to try as hard. Um, and it's easy now with the technology, with things. The way the world currently is, you can get a phone out, record a video, and it could hit 5 million people. You just don't know. You just don't know. But your life can literally change overnight in today's world. 100 years ago, that wouldn't be the case. You'd have to, I don't know, I wasn't alive then, but 100 years ago, that wasn't the case. Nowadays, it is the case. So I guess my message to like young men and men is just go out there and attack life and do stuff, because it's your life. I I've got this deep rooted fear that when I get to my deathbed, that I'm going to have to look back on my life and look back at all the things that I didn't do, and I can't. With that fear in mind, I can't sit watching TV, watching movies, watching things. Um, I think if a lot of people in general, men and women, had that mindset, they would do things just because of that fear.
Hmm. And fear is a test. Fear is a test. Usually we treat fear as a command that we have to obey. But what if, as Jayden put it, fear is just a test to see if you really want what you say you want? Yeah.
I guess what are people afraid of? You're not going to die. There's decisions aren't life or death. If you want to start a business, maybe it don't work. People make fun of you. So what? Do you really value other people's judgments on you? Well, then that's the first problem you kind of got to overcome. If you value what other people say, you need their approval to do things. Um, and you don't. You don't need other people's approvals to do things. Um, yeah, fear is a test. And once you actually do something that you fear afterward, like let's say you want to go in the cold plunge. I did the cold plunge for 9 minutes. I was feeling a bit fearful of going into the cold, but after 3 minutes, my mind went silent and everything went calm, and I was like, "This is actually all right." And I was enjoying it a bit too much that I stayed in a bit too long. But once you're actually doing stuff, once you're in the mode and you're going through life, it's almost effortless. There's almost an effortless play to what you're doing. You forget about the fear that you originally had, and you're in the zone. You're doing it. You're moving through life, and all of a sudden, you're moving so fast and so far that that fear was long behind you.
I love that. I think this is a good place to end the episode. If you would, Jayden, I'd love for you to repeat the last thing that you just said. Or
I can't
paraphrase
remember. I can't remember
the
exactly,
general idea.
but fear is a test. Life is a series of tests, a series of fears that once you begin to move past the first fear, you're in such a playful state of effortless enjoyment that you've moved so far beyond the original fear.
Fuck yeah.
You like that?
Ladies and gentlemen, I do. Jayden Harris, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jayden, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.